ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. In the last class, half of the time the internet was not functioning. Bobby couldn't get the connectivity. So much of the important portions were not recorded. Hence, almost the same slokas I'll be discussing today for the benefit of those who could not listen to it properly last time. So Arjuna, he wanted to know what exactly are the lakshanas of a Sthita Prajna. क्योंकि श्री कृष्ण ने जैसे बोला नैनम चिन्नन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनम दहति पावक एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा वासांसि जिन्नानि तावहाय नमानि गृह्णाति नूरोपराणि. So he was really quite intrigued. How could such a person function in the world if someone is always in the state of that awareness, in the state of Atma Gyan? वो धरती पे कैसे क्या बोलेगा, क्या कैसे चलेगा, क्या बातें करेगा? So straight away he asked, what are the lakshanas? Kim prabhasheta, kim asita, vrajeta kim? How does he walk? How does he sit? How does he talk and all that? So, in reply to that, Sri Krishna did not straight away talk about the worldly activities or how such a person behave in this world. He straight away started describing the extraordinary nature or the qualities of a Chitta Prajna. So that is why he said, what exactly is the description? That also he has asked, what is the description of the person who has attained to study wisdom? Chitta Prajnasya ka bhasha. How do you know a person is truly a Chitta Prajna? Not only how he walks, how he talks, etc. First and foremost, what are the lakshanas? What are the qualities? How do you describe such a person? So in reply, he says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmanneva atma atushtaha Chitta Prajnastasochite. We discussed this in great detail in the previous class. So, when all the desires of the heart, manogatan kaman sarvan prajahati, if one can give up all the desires of the heart or the mind, whatever it is, if they can be completely given up. Not only that, it is not only just giving up and keeping quiet. मेरा कुछ वासना नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. No. How does such a person live afterwards? Because the mind cannot be completely empty. If it gives up vasanas, if it withdraws from senses, somewhere else it should go. Where would it go? Is it really possible? ऐसे कोई संभव है क्या? मेरा कोई वासना नहीं है, कामना नहीं है, मैं ऐसे चुपचाप बैठ. No. The mind will immediately go somewhere else. It will never remain quiet or empty or vacant. So he says, where will it rest? Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Always it will rest in the Atman. It will completely, it will not depend on anything external. It will, the joyous spirit will find satisfaction in itself. खुद में रहना, कहाँ भी बाहर नहीं जाना, कोई बाहर का चीज नहीं लगेगा उसका. Nothing external would be needed for such a person. He'll be completely satisfied with the Atman, internally being oneself. That's the nature of a Sthita Prajna. So you see, even the joy that we enjoy, the joy that we experience with respect to external objects, खाना पीना रहना पहनना घूमना, our गाड़ी वगैरह, जो भी, all the bhoga vastus, the objects of enjoyment of various types, whatever it is, what is all that? Is there anything in the thing by itself? एक चीज का क्या अपना तरीका कुछ है क्या? अब उसमें चक्कर डाल सकते हैं, you can put anything else, but it would it would appear, it would taste good only a person who has a taste for it. See, if there is anything intrinsic in itself, then everybody would feel the same taste. No, suppose a particular dish is made, X, Y, Z, all will taste it the same way. If there is any intrinsic quality in that, the joy, that happiness that we derive are all because of our own nature. That's why the same thing, first of all, the same thing is experienced differently by different people. The same thing is experienced the very same person at different times differently. मेरा अभी खाने के बहुत ही मन है, जो भी देंगे बहुत खा लेता हूँ, पेट भरा है, बिल्कुल इच्छा नहीं है. इवन इफ यू कीप द मोस्ट फेवरेट डिश ऑफ माइंड, अरे भाई भाई ले चलो, बिल्कुल एक बोध भी नहीं ले पाता हूँ, एक टुकड़ा भी नहीं ले पाऊंगा, ऐसे ऐसे. वाई? इट्स बिकॉज there's total aversion. So it is the liking or the dislike, the ananda, joy, everything, it's all coming from inside. So essentially, it's only that supreme joy, the joy of the Atman, of the self, in a small way that manifests outside, that brings this from the external things also. So it's all, if this is only a just a minuscule or some micro joy of that. Supposing you go to the source from which all these come, how joyful one would be. We can just imagine and think, if all the source of all these joys only the self, ultimately we get all this only from the self, how wonderful it will be if you can access that, go there, go to the source and enjoy the ananda of the self. That's why it says Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha Sita Pragya Sadochati. He's called a Sita Pragya, who delights in the Atman, who stays there. He does not need anything else. That alone gives him satisfaction, santushti, happiness, whatever it is. So, that means give up all that, go to the source. If you go there, you will get everything. It's only, you get only a fraction, a micro unit of that. That is the joy we feel in through the senses, through sense objects, etc. And then next look at what he says: Dukkeshu anuvidvignamanaha, Sukeshu vigataspriya, Vita raga bhayakrodaha, Sitadir muniruchyate. So he is unperturbed, whether it is sukha or dukkha. Dukkeshu anuvudvignamana. He is not disturbed when it is dukkha. Similarly, Vigata Sukeshu, even when it is good, favorable, in Sukha also, there is absolutely, it's not perturbed. Even it is not attached to Sukha, nor does it hate Dukkha. So, there is no agitation, whether it is adversity or a favorable circumstance. Sukha, Dukkha, both are treated alike. There is no attachment. There is no clinging to Sukha. No desire to experience it again and again. And similarly, there is also no agitation, no udmigna. It's not disturbed, agitated when something of the nature of dukkha happens. How it is possible? Vita raga bhaya krodaha. If the person is free from raga, attachment, bhaya, and krodha, then only it is possible to be equanimous in sukha and dukkha. Sukha and dukkha, how do they arise? Because of desire. We desire something. If we get it, there is sukha. If we don't get it, then there is dukkha. So, these desires, they lead to attachment, raga. So when you have a desire, you get attached. Oh, I like it. I want that. I want to go there. I want to experience it. I want to possess it. I'm keenly desirous to have it. That is that attachment. So once you approach with that attachment, then obviously when it happens, you're overjoyed. When it doesn't, when it brings dukkha or the opposite experience, you are terribly affected. So both these happen. The origin is raga. What this attachment, the desire, what does it lead to? Raga, attachment. So if one is free from raga, attachment, means one has to be free from desires. Now, what does raga lead to? Raga leads to Bhaya. Why bhaya? Supposing I don't get it. Oh, it is all ready. It's all about to be distributed. But I may not get it. I may be left out. I may not be in their list. I may not be a person chosen for this. So many things we feel that it is within our grip. I can get it. I'm capable. I want it. I'm desirous of that. I'm attached to it. No, you will not get it. So the fear of not getting it, fear of losing it, I'm so attached, I'm so desirous, I so much like my son, daughter, grandson, grandchildren, parents, my things, my vehicles, my balances, my bank balance, my investments, my food, my everything. I like so much. What will happen if I lose it? Oh, I may lose it. It may go away. Finally, I like this body so much. It may fall off. I may die. So, all this fear coming from raga attachment and raga coming from desire. And what happens if you don't get it? I'm so desirous, I'm so attached, it is being snatched away from me. I want it, I want it, I want. No, 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 it will not be given to you. Then immediately it will lead to krodha, it will lead to anger. You want to fight, you are violent, you are excited, you are so angry. Anger is so if one is free from vita, raga, bhaya, krodha, free from at the attachment and then fear and also anger, that means you are free from desires. If there are no desires, there is no sukha or dukkha. A thing becomes sukha when we relate ourselves to that experience. It's not something is happening. Supposing somebody is giving you some award, somebody is giving you some money, somebody is giving you some gift. It becomes an object of sukha only when I take it like that, isn't it? Otherwise, it is lying there, it is lying there. Oh, so you keep it and go. You want to give, all right, you leave, keep it and go. I'm not bothered. I'm not interested. Yet you want to give, it's okay, keep it. That means I'm not desirous of that. Once there is no desire, then you are free from raga, bhaya, and krodha. And there will be neither sukha nor dukkha for such a person. If it doesn't happen, it's okay, fine. Because I didn't want it. Anyway, I was not expecting it. I did not get it. Fine, good riddance. Getting it with more trouble, more responsibility, more other things. No need. That's also a wonderful idea. So, how one can be the sukha and dukkha can disturb one, can disturb our tranquility only when we get attached to what is happening through our desires. If you are desirous of eating some very good thing, if that item comes, you eat it, then you get attached to it. You are overjoyed. You are so happy because you got that to eat. But if you don't have that attachment to it, if you don't have the desire for it, if it comes, all right, you take it. Oh, it's okay. Like any other thing, just like taking some rice or something, I took that also. So there is no special desire, no special attachment. So if one has to be free from sukha and dukkha, if it's not to be disturbed by sukha or dukkha, once you accept something as sukha or dukkha, once you give that label, this is an experience of sukha, this is an experience of dukkha, it cannot but affect you. But if you refuse to label it, it's okay. It came, it came. I'm not bothered. I'm not excited. So it's not a special occasion of sukha for you. Similarly, something happens. You lose something. You lose somebody. Somebody dies. Something goes. Some loss happens. If you don't take it like that, then you don't give the label of dukkha, then you will not be affected by that. So he says, he's a Sitadir Muni is a sage of steady wisdom. If he's free from raga, bhaya, and krodha, if he can take sukha and dukkha with the same equanimity without being affected. And then he goes to the next sloka. Yeah, sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubhashubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya pragya pratishtita. See, if a person anabhisneha is without self-centered affection for anything, whatever it is, whether shubha or ashubha. See, he does not rejoice when there is shubha. Instead of dukkha, sukha, he has put shubha. Is it not? Labha labho jaya jayo. Shubha ashubha. Huh? So everything, these opposites. He always dealt, because it's not enough to say only one thing. Ashubha we all know, dukkha we all know. One has to be equally careful in sukha and shubha. In fact, one has to be more careful perhaps, because we tend to get attached more easily to shubha, to sukha. So that's why the Lord always deals with in the both the opposites he mentions together and cautions us against it. So he says, yeah, sarvatra, if a person anabhisneha, tattat prapya, whatever is got, whether it is sukha or dukkha, whether shubha or ashubha, it is favorable or unfavorable, na abhinandati, does not rejoice when it is favorable, shubha, na dveshti, does not hate when it is unfavorable. Such a person's wisdom is, firmly established. Tasya prajna pratishtita. He is a stita prajna. Who is a stita prajna? One's prajna is stita or pratishtita. So if a person has no self-centered attachment, anything sukha is happening, it's okay. It has got nothing to do with me. Why should I attach myself to that? Let it be there. It has come. It will go also in the same way. So once a person understands the anitya nature of all that and discriminates and does not develop any particular attachment to anything that is shubha or ashubha. The various states, sukha and dukkha are one type. It's all produced usually directly by the indriyas. And then similarly, shubha and ashubha, something good is happening. Shubha, something, it may not be directly with respect to oneself. When in a general sense, it might happen in the community, in the samaj, in the nation, everywhere. So unless if you think that it is mine, I must get attached to it. If that is not there, then you are supposed to have a pragya which is established. Tasya pragya pratishtita. He has a sthita pragya quality. His pragya is sthita, is a well established. So there should not be anything that is favorable or unfavorable, shubha or ashubha. It should not be influenced by that. So I think it is the same, just a continuation, like Dukkeshu Anuvidvignamana. Similarly, Shubha or Ashubha, both are to be treated like that. And then Yadasam Harate Chayam Kurmunganiva Sarvashaha Indriyani Indriyartebhya Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. So now he says, how is it possible? How one can be free from sukha and dukkha, shubha and ashubha, how one can be free from vita, raga, bhaya, krodha, because now our senses constantly bring us experience. The mind, go to the senses to go and attach yourself to sense objects, because the mind is functional, the indriyas are functional. If the mind is not there, indriyas don't function at all. When the mind is alert, it is awake, the indriyas go on their hunting job, bring this experience, that, various kinds of experiences keep on bringing. They bring in patience before the mind. Then the sankalpa vikalpa, whether this or that, the mind is just debating. Then it refers to the buddhi for final decision. Then we decide whether we should have it or not. That experience is to be had or not had. That's why the senses by themselves they cannot do anything. So suppose somebody is sitting in front of you for hours, you might not see him at all. Why? My mind was not there. My mind was elsewhere. I was deeply absorbed in something. So the indriyas are awake, the eyes are open. But because the mind is not attached to it, the mind is not going along with it, so it is not recognizing the sense object at all. It is there right in front of it, but is simply bypassing and going elsewhere because the mind is not attached. Once the mind is there, the indriyas go on bringing ever so many experiences, place them before the mind. So when such a thing happens, if you are constantly engaging in that, then obviously it's not possible. When once all these things happen, then you cannot say that I'll be free from any effects of sukha dukkha. Indriyani indriyartebhya. When When the mind is always, when the indriyas are always linked to the sense objects, it's not possible. So what is the way? The senses have to be withdrawn from their sense objects. I mean, the mind should not be allowed to go along with them. How the senses are withdrawn from the sense objects? As an example, he is giving kurmanganiva sarvasa. The kurma withdraws all its insidious inside. It's going, but it senses some danger. Something is going to attack that. Somebody is targeting it. Simply withdraws all its limb inside. And even if you cut it to two pieces, the limbs will not come out. It may die, but it will not come out. So its senses are completely under control, total control. Recently, I saw a small video clipping somewhere. One lion has cut hold of a tortoise. It knows that some monks is there, some you know meat is there for it to be eaten, but it's unable to break open the shell. Various ways it tries. It hits it with its leg, then it's trying to bite it, then it putting it this way, that way, turning it upside down. No reaction from the tortoise at all. After struggling practically for half an hour, imagine the lion's might. Together it can eat at least 100 tortoises together. After trying desperately for quite some time, finally he leaves it and goes away. And slowly the tortoise comes out and moves forward with its journey. Till then, all its limbs are completely drawn inside. See, it has to be so powerful. Your withdrawal from the sense objects, the withdrawal of the senses from the sense objects. So, later on, you will say how the other control is to be exercised. See, there are the control of various levels. One is at the physical level. Supposing we are tempted, supposing you have to avoid sweets, so you have diabetes, something like that. Don't keep yourself surrounded by all kinds of most delicious sweets. Obviously, the jihva, the indriya, will get attached to those objects and it will goad you into eating. One thing is the physical abstinence, keeping away, keeping away. Not only that, Karmendriyani samyame aste manasaspurindriyartan vimudhatva mityachara sauchite. Also, he will say, in the same way, it is not that physically you avoid, but you keep on thinking about it mentally, that will also no good. It may not produce a desired bad effect on the body, but mentally you are fully contaminated. So, this withdrawal should be total and complete, not coming out. So, it's not only just the physical uh, abstaining oneself from that physically. The mind also it should be. So if the indriyas are all withdrawn, the mind says, no, let anything be there. I'm not going to come out. I'm not going to taste it. I'm not going to hear it. I'm not going to listen to it. Somebody might say, no, don't come and tell me that. I'm not going to listen. So, if the indriyas are withdrawn, so thereby, once you withdraw the indriyas, once they don't bring all those experiences to the mind is not contaminated with so many things. What's those experiences? They're all of the category either sukha or dukkha, shubha or shubha, labha or alabha, jaya or ajaya, victory or defeat, gain or loss. See, these are all various, the worldly experiences are all classified into all these things. When it physically produces pain or pleasure, it may be sukha or dukkha. When it produces a feeling of happiness or this that at the mental level, there is one thing. And then some actions are viewed as holy and unholy, shubha and shubha. Similarly, something is beneficial, you get a gain or a loss. So there are no various kinds of experiences in the world, perhaps relating to various parts or various indriyas, etc., etc. All that ultimately bring those experiences only. How can one be free from all that? First step is try to be away from them physically. Try to avoid completely. Don't keep them anywhere near. Don't go anywhere near. That's why initially the initial stages one practices tyaga, etc. One is very clearly advised to keep away from all that. Don't read such books. Don't read such magazines. Don't look at such pictures. Don't watch such movies, films, etc. Some people very bravely say, "Oh, I don't mind. Nothing affects me." No, you don't know at all. It may not be there, but immediately deep within, it leaves an impression. It will not go empty at all. Anything that we do, it leaves an impression in the mind stuff, in the chitta. That will remain stored. When anything similar appears, immediately the mind goes and gets linked to that. Immediately it catches up. There's a supercomputer in the minds of each one of us. All impressions, millions of impressions, any amount, any number of time. So no one can say, no, 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 I will not. Everybody very much affected. So the first step is to avoid all it physically as far as possible, not to go anywhere near it. And slowly, slowly, but then as that's why already it is said, it is not possible to simply avoid and be. Where will the mind go then? It's Atmanyevatmana tushta. Unless you have a higher dimension, direction to the mind. Yes, I'm interested in uh, bhakti, devotion, worshipping the Lord, going to temple, going to tirthas, that way. If you do all that, it's possible. Then if a mind is like that, such a mind can be free from all that because the mind has a wonderful positive engagement. It's not free, it's not empty, it's not waiting to get into some experience or other. It is ready to stay clear of all that because the mind has no time for all this. Supposing you're so deeply engrossed in sadhana, in taking the Lord's name, in chanting His glory, in singing His glory, etc. Sri Ramakrishna would hardly have time for anything. Day and night, at every opportunity, whether it is day or night he would not even sleep, always taking the Lord's name. Of course, you can't compare, you can't even mention in the same breath. लेकिन ये क्या है, आप हमेशा ऐसे ही व्यस्त रहेंगे, देन आपको इधर उधर मन भटकना, सब विषय की उसकी तरह दौड़ना भागना, the chances are much less because the mind is fully engaged, saturated with higher thoughts, higher ideas. So, he's only giving briefly. If it is done like that, then it is possible. But then to do that, you need something else. You need some other input. Unless the mind is very clear about that, then, it's not possible. So, obviously, the mind has to be trained to be that way. So, here he gives a beautiful idea that if it is that just as a kurma, the tortoise, how it completely withdraws its limbs whenever there is a least indication of any danger. The point is, we allow a free play of our indriyas. They do anything they like. We think, oh, it's okay. Why? Because we never understand the danger in exposing our indriyas to anything that is external. Because the kurma clearly understands the danger involved in exposing its limbs to anything outside, it completely withdraws and takes control of itself. But because we don't feel there is any danger, we feel we're fine, we are very safe, we can do anything, nothing will happen to us. So we allow a free play of our indriyas. And they go and get attached to thousand things. They bring hundreds of experiences, thousands of experiences, all get stored in our chitta. They produce more desire, more experience, more desire, more attachment, more fear, more danger, more anger. Everything is multiplied. So such a mind can't be quiet. Such a mind cannot enjoy. It cannot be a stitadhi. It cannot be a stitapragya mind. So these are all very important. So that's what it says. Then when we are doing all that, then such a mind said to be is firmly established because it has mastered the art of completely withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. If the senses are withdrawn from the sense object, that is, they don't go and get attached to them, no desire is produced. It is not going to leave any taste in the mind. Oh, so you go and experience. See, even if you uh, anything, first the senses bring the indication, and then we start plunge into action, leading to more desires and more participation. But if the senses don't go out at all that way, they're all completely withdrawn and controlled, then no more that kind of impulses are going to come to my mind. But then it says, it is just not a Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha Rasavajjam rasopyasya parandistva nivartate. You see, niraharasya dehinaha, an embodied soul, jiva, if it is, it has, it's not giving it anything. Niraharasya, it is of the abstinent embodied soul. It has not been given any ahara, any food, any participation, any sense enjoyment, nirahara. There's no ahara at all. For such a mind, Vishaya vinivartante. It obviously it comes away from all the Vishayas. For the uh, for the Dehin, for the embodied soul, where it is has not been fed with anything related to the senses. It has been made to starve. It's nirahara. It has had no ahara at all, no sense enjoyment at all. Such a mind, Vishaya vinivartante, it comes away, it falls away from all those Vishayas drop away. But then he may not participate, but internally it's all there. Rasavajjam rasopyasya parandrishtva nivartate. Parandrishtva, only when the supreme uh, state, supreme truth is realized, then rasa api, even uh, for such a person, even the rasa, then that is, it is given up. Rasavarjam, when that is given away, that also falls away because, yes, realize the supreme truth. That's what I'm saying. You may physically abstain from all that. Physically, the objects might fall off. You might not experience anything at all because your senses have not been given any permission, any leeway. किसी पे अगर तुम लोग को बाहर जाने के लिए नहीं दिया था, सबको रोक दिया, आप सबको दूर दूर कर दिया, आपकी कोई ऐसी, इसलिए see, one of the things why people used to go to lonely place, solitude, forests, etc., to be away from objects of enjoyment. जो नजदीक रहने में तो सब में जाने की इच्छा लगेगा, इच्छा उदय होगा मन में, दूर चले जाओ. I'll go far away from all that. Nowhere near any object of enjoyment. So physically आप दूर है, लेकिन आपका मन ही मन हजार गुणों वासना जगता है, क्योंकि there was a past experience. In the past you have had so much experiences. Once you experience something, as I said, it gets stored always. Again and again it reminds you. Even remotely something close you see, it reminds you of that. So then how such a mind can be, how it can give up all the rasa, the enjoyment that you had earlier? How can that be given up? Rasavarjam. So such a mind, all those things will go away. Even the rasa will completely dry up from such a mind, और उसी से हट जाएगा. How? Parandishtvanavati. If you get a taste of something superior, that's why I said all the joy that we get in this world, the joys through the senses or the sense objects, the bhoga, etc., they are just a small micro particle of the supreme bliss which comes from Brahman, which comes from Ananda, which is Ananda Swarup. So, because we know clearly there is nothing in the thing by itself. So obviously it is coming from me. It's I who impart joy to that sense object ultimately. Otherwise there's nothing. Mandiji, a pen, a rasagulla, or anything, whatever it is, by itself what it is? Nothing. You may mix sugar, you may mix anything else. Only when my tongue, my indriya, certifies it as to be an object of enjoyment, it gives me joy, it gives me ananda, then I enjoy it, I crave more for it, desires are generated, vasanas are generated, raga, dosha, everything all right. But then, if I have got a taste of something much superior, something, you have, somebody has given you an extraordinary piece of some sweet meat, then will you go and ask for a very, if an ordinary thing is given to you, will you even look at it? अरे मैं तो वो खा लिया, ये क्या है, कुछ भी नहीं है। आप तो खाया नहीं ना, आपका पता भी नहीं है क्या चीज। एक बार आप खा के आओ, तब पता चलेगा वो क्या है। So, in the same way, once you get a little taste of that, that's why, Gita says, Mat chitta, mad gata prana, bodhenta parasparam, kateyantascha mam nityam, tushyanti charamanti cha. See, devotees, my devotees, they always sing my glory, talk of me, talk about me, make others understand. Their mind is full of me. Their prana is kind of dedicated to me. Matchitta, madgata prana. Their prana is going towards me. I mean, that way, they are so much, involved, so much of love for me, for the Lord, etc. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Avyabhichari bhakti. So, if you get even a little of that, a taste of that supreme, that's why, we are all struggling so much. But even a little taste, we are discussing in the other class, the Kathamrita class, Bhajana Ananda, the joy of doing sadhana, even that happens, and the mind turns away from all that. Always, whenever there is time, do that sadhana. Because time is ebbing away, life is ebbing away. समय निकल रहा है, आयु खत्म हो जाएगा, कब मेरा बुलावा आ जाएगा मालूम नहीं है. So, if one is interested, one gets a taste of that. नामे रुचि बोलते ना, once you get taste in taking the Lord's name. हम लोग जब ध्यान करते हैं जबरदस्ती करते हैं, करना ही है, नहीं करने में पाप है. दीक्षा लिया, गुरु के वचन दिया, वादा किया, that's okay. But supposing, taking the Lord's name gives great joy in your heart, produces tremendous joy. Then all those things, everything will go away because the mind no longer. See, otherwise, even if you physically stay away from all that, the mind keeps constantly thinking about all. Why it will keep thinking constantly? The indriyas are all abstaining. Your hands are not functioning, feet are not running around anywhere, ear is not hearing anything, nose is not smelling anything, the jihva is not tasting anything. But the mind is fully active. The mind is not put to rest. It goes to so many places, visits so many places of interest, enjoyment, takes so many items which are delicious, hears so many things, good, bad, etc. Keep on 100 times. Sometimes, the mind becomes more restless when you try to restrain the senses. Rather, if you're engaged in some work or something, the mind appears to be quieter because it is concentrating on one thing. It's not going in thousand directions. But if you are free, the mind is wandering all the more. So even if you forcefully abstain from all that, niraharasya dehinaha vishaya vinivartante, but then the rasa will not go. The taste, having enjoyed it earlier, it will always be there. It will never disappear from you. So what will you do with such a mind? How can it be controlled? Only, when you develop a higher taste. When you develop a distaste for the world, from all the experiences, from all that has happened, knowing from the lives of great souls, knowing from all that, there's nothing, all this is all fleeting. Tomorrow, all this will go away. They will not stay. They have to be given up. When all the teeth have fallen, you cannot have non-veg or this or that, anything hard to bite. It's not possible because why? Suppose make it a paste and give. I cannot take it. Why? The teeth are no longer powerful like that. So, the indriyas may become quiet because either because of age, because of something else, because the objects of enjoyment are far away, but the mind will be fully active, constantly participating. How can it how can it be made quiet? How will it really give up all the rasa taste? Parandrishtva. Only when you know the supreme truth, when you get a taste of that, then obviously the other things will fall away. Actually, that's of course the highest stage. But even to begin with, some idea, some taste of that, some taste for the Lord's name, some taste for doing sadhana, some taste for nama japa, some taste for meditation, some taste for singing only devotional songs, hearing devotional songs, reading devotional books, talking about that, hearing from great saints, Bhagavan, all the avatars, from others, from elders, through classes, from others, through satsanga. So the mind is always running after the senses, has to be given a ठाकुर कहते हैं ना मोड़ फिराना, giving it a direction, turning it towards God. Once you do that, and then slowly when it starts developing a new kind of taste, new kind of attachment for superior things, for God, etc., then obviously, such a mind, it turns away from all that automatically because it has already get something much more attractive. आपकी जो विषय से जो मिलता था उससे 100 गुण अधिक आनंद मिल रहा है, क्या कुछ नहीं लगता है. You don't need anything, you don't need objects, you don't need anything physical at all, you don't need anything external, you don't need anybody's company, you don't have to hear anything, see anything, read anything, nothing. Just that idea, you are fascinated, you are completely taken by the love of God's name. भगवान के नाम लेना इतनी अच्छी एक अनुभव है. If it brings you so much taste, then only you can be free from all that. That's why it says, because he's talking the highest idea, rasavajjam rasopyasya parandishtva nivartate. Only when you get the highest, it's possible then, but then, if it can be initiated into such practices slowly, so that ultimately it can lead to the highest kind of experience. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. बस चलो एंड कर दिया, 2 बज गया.